version. So the first thing I'm going to do is show you how to create a user. Introduce admin. And then we'll go down to users and click add user. It brings me to this screen, and I'm going to enter my user. And for the username, we enter the email address. And then the user ID is generally going to be the person's banner ID number with the institution abbreviation first. So since I don't know this person's banner ID, I'm going to abbreviate, since this is just pilot, with the first initial and the last name. The reason that we generally do the institution code and the banner ID is so that it will be unique. And you just want to make sure that active is selected. And in an email address, you'll want to re-enter the email address. Without the email address, the person will not receive any alert emails. Okay, and in your time zone, this is important. If you use any of the interview features or anything of that nature, so that you make sure you schedule things in your time zone. And then the only other field that is actually required is institution. And I'm going to select System Office. However, you can click the plus next to the System Office, and you'll see all of your institutions. And then if you would like, you can go in and select the user type. And this is helpful if perhaps you have someone on a search committee who is not with your institution or is with an outside company altogether. And if it is an employee, you can select the employment status. And then you'll go down to the bottom here and you save. And it brings you to the password screen. So you'll set the password, and typically it's going to be welcome1 exclamation mark, or if you want to do something different for your institution, for new users, you can just keep it simple because they'll set their own password the first time they log in. And then they'll save. And then should your employees forget their password, of course they can select the forgot password link, which will send them a link into their email so that they can reset that. But also, if it is an internal user, you can reset the password for them. So if you're not already there like we are, you go to admin and users again, and then you would just search for your user. And then on the options drop down, you would select change password and define a temporary password. And then you'll see this change password screen again. You can change the password. And then, of course, you'll save.
Any questions about that before we move along? You can either type your questions in the chat box or unmute yourself if you have any.
Okay, since there are no questions, we will move on to creating a form. To do this, you'll go to the Admin tab. You'll go to Tools, Core Functions, and Form Management, and Manage Forms. And once you're in Manage Forms, you'll go to Create Form. And you'll give your form a title. And then you can enter a description. And then to add information to your forms, you can go to the available fields. You can do standard fields, so perhaps you want an additional address. Drag that down into this box here. And likewise, you just continue dragging and dropping into this box any field that you want in this form. So here's some more choices under question bank. If you want attachments, you can drag these over here. And it will allow for an additional attachment. You can even pull over a signature. Okay, then when you're finished, you will just save and continue. And then once we have saved our information of our form, we're going to go to the Access tab.
Title is required. Go down. See the title down there.
Okay, so actually we have to give our attachment a title. Now we can advance to our Access tab. Okay, and so here we determine who can use this form in the sense of managing and editing, copying, and deleting the form. Okay, so we can do all users, we can go by institution, we can go by group. typically going to be group, and it would be recruiting admin security group. Good. And availability. So this determines who can assign the form. So again, you're probably going to want to go by group, and you're going to want to choose the recruiting admin security group. And we'll save and continue. And if you want to require approval, then you just select this box here, and you would do an approval workflow. And we'll go through actual application approval workflow later. And then so then we'll just save and publish our form. And publishing it will make it available for use in tasks. Are you sure you want to publish? You'll select yes.
All right. So we did have a question in the chat box earlier about password reset. And the question was, can you reset applicants' passwords? And the answer is no. You can only reset users' passwords. If an applicant needs to reset their password, they must click on the reset password email link. Does anybody have any questions about creating a form before we move forward? Just unmute yourself or type the question in the chat box.
If there are no questions about forms, I'm going to move on to application workflow template. And for that, we're going to go to admin and recruit. And then applicant workflow template here under applicant tracking. And we're going to choose create template. And you can name your template. And most templates are named after the institution, and then standard or faculty or staff. Here at the system office, we have the standard application form, which I believe several of you have copied and created a form similar for your own institution.
That's typically what you're probably going to want to do, is instead of trying to create this from scratch, is just copy it over, rename it, and then make it your own.
So I'm going to call this the secondary application form, just to differentiate between our usual standard application. And description, I'm just going to describe this as our alternate application form. And to add a section, you're going to choose this icon here at the far right of this gray bar. And you'll enter your title. So usually they start off with instructions. And we want to give this a percentage, so we'll say 10%. And then we've got personal information usually follows. We'll call this 20%. We have employment information. We'll just make this 40%. Education. Use 60%, and then attachments. And then we'll save. Okay, so I apologize. I actually need to make these equal 100%.
What was the name? Yeah, probably on page 3.
We'll just be looking for our new form.
There it is.
I'm going to go to edit, which is this little piece of paper with the pencil.
Oh. Make sure your pop-up blocker's off when you're doing this. So when you're going through this application workflow, you're going to pull in those forms that you just created.
And so we put in our complaint questions for purposes of the demonstration here.
Any instructions that you want to include if they're going through the application, type them in here.
And since we're in pilot, we don't have a lot coming up, so you would just repeat these steps through each section to bring in your forms or your questions or instructions. And you would save. Any questions on application workflow template?
I don't see anything in the chat box. Remember, you can unmute yourself if you have a question you'd like to ask out loud.
So we'll move on to creating a position. To create a position, we'll go to Admin, Recruit, Requisition Template. We're going to click on Add Position. And so I'm going to name my position. We'll enter your position description. And you can, of course, copy and paste. And just remember to always paste as plain text.
You will save yourself so much headache if you remember that one step.
And then the parent is the pre-populated TBR owner. I'll go ahead and select myself as the owner. The banner title, which may be the same or different as the position title, depending on how you set up banner. Employment category. If you have a grant position or a seasonal position, something where the position is going to end on a definitive date, then you can enter the end date here. And you can enter your funding source here. Knowledge, skills, and abilities will go in that box.
We have a question in the chat box. Is it okay?
Yeah.
Okay, we do have a question. Should the owner be the supervisor of the position?
No. The owner is usually going to be the person posting the position. You want to make sure that it's someone in human resources, because that will allow you to go in and make the edits, set up the workflow, everything that is required under the recruiting admin duties.
But you can add them in as the hiring manager, though, and they will have full access to view the applicants, candidates, things like that.
And then if you have a position that's going to be open until filled, you would just check this box here. Physical requirements or working conditions, if applicable. And your position number goes here. And your position title. And preferred qualification. Reason for opening, addition, or replacement. And then here your required or minimum qualification. And then, you'll enter your search committee members. Your start date, if you know what it's going to be, if you're hiring for an academic position, for example, and you know you're going to have them start on a particular date, then you would just choose the date here on the little calendar they'll send. The status of the position, and the typical duties and responsibilities. And this one we're going to save at the bottom.
I think it's just a little slow because it's pilot.
So we created our position, and now we're going to create our template. So we're going to choose the gray box here on the far right for Manage Requisition Template. This is our template as title. And maybe the same as the job title. We'll enter the details here, our job title that we want to display. And the institution. And we'll enter your campus as well. We only have the system office here, but for your locations that have multiple locations, once you drill into your location, you'll be able to see the other campuses, if there are any. Enter the contact phone number. And the EEO category. Employment type. So for most of you, that will be one of these, or you may select other. Currency. your compensation. You don't actually have to put in the range, but you have that option. But right here, you're just choosing whether that's going to be per credit hour, per clock hour, salary, other. Position number again, if you know that from the beginning. And the status of the position is already there for you. And again, the start date and end date if you have a particular starting and ending date.
Just remember, this is a template, so you don't have to put every bit of this information because it more than likely will change with each job that you post. So remember that on your start date, end date, things like that. Keep it pretty generic. You can always edit this as you move forward to post it.
We've already got our information here from where we created the position. And then we'll just add our qualifications again here, which is what the actual posting will look like when we go to create the actual requisition. Requisition owner, this will generally be yourself or someone in your human resources department. And here's where you can enter the hiring manager, interviewers. If you don't want to do it here on the template, or you don't know yet who these people are going to be, then you can wait and add them on the actual job requisition.
If you are adding in a status such as EEO review, you're going to want to do it here on your template. At the very bottom of the page, you see a link for status list. If you'll click on that, you can add in any status that you choose, such as EEO review, an applicant pool, however you're choosing to do it at your school or institution. And at this point here, you can also add in any type of status emails if you choose to do so. Just remember that this is a template level, so you want to keep it pretty generic. Approvals here, if you have specific approvals that will your applicant workflow needs to go through, such as the offer letter approvals, you will do it here. If it's the same for every time you post the position, you can add it in here.
And we're just going to save our template. Are there any questions on creating the template for your position?
We'll go into some of these in more detail at the intermediate training that we're having on Thursday, such as the offer letter approvals and things like that. So if you'd like to learn more about those, then you're welcome to come to that one. Yes, Tammy asked, is this where we would begin setting up workflows for approvals? And yes, this is correct. Will you scroll down to show her again where the approvals?
And your approvals are here towards the bottom of the screen. And you just click on the plus sign. And you can go in and add approvers.
If it's one specific person, say we're going to add in the chancellor to approve these, then you would click on user, and it would search for that any particular user in the system.
All right. Any other questions on the position template before we move into the job requisition?
That's all that's in the chat.
Okay. So next we're going to create a job requisition. So to do that, we're going to go to Recruit and Manage Requisition. And then over here in the Options drop-down, we're going to choose Add Requisition. And we're going to look for our position. A requisition template. And your job title, again, is you want it displayed on the posting. And then choose your institution. And your primary location, again, this is where if you are choosing your institution, that will be underneath the institution. If you have multiple locations, those will display there. And although we're completing a lot of these fields, the only ones that are actually required are the ones with the asterisk. And then once again here, you're going to be your primary owner most times. For the hiring manager, you want to add them so they can view candidates. So you'll do that here. You'll just go in and select the user. And then also you can add reviewers. So we'll just go in and select. And then if you have an approval workflow, again, you can add that in the requisition itself right here. And then here you'll select the priority. If you're looking to fill very quickly, you might select high. If it's for open until filled or adjunct or something, you may choose low. If it's just a normal requisition, I typically just choose medium. The number of openings, and your target hire date. I'm going to go next. Here is where it has pulled over your information for your job ad. We advanced onto application workflow. This is not an entire workflow here, very important. This will only give them the submit application. They will not be able to complete the application. So right here in the middle, you want to do this drop down and select your application template. Here is standard application. Most of you already have a standard application that you designed for your own institution. And after you select it, you'll want to click apply. And here's where it will populate all the sections of your application. And next. If you're going to use the offer template or approvals, you can set those here. And then we go on to submit and manage posting. So this is where you will select your career site. With the system office, of course, we select TBR. You'll want to just choose your own institution for this. It will be posted on your website, on your web page. We'll enter the dates here. So it's going to post today. For the end date, you'll just select your end date. And so here we post for 2 weeks for non-exempt and 4 weeks for exempt positions. So this would close on the 19th of June. However, the timing, the time zone that this system runs in is very different from our own. So what we want to do is actually choose the day after. So Wednesday, June 20th, and it will close at 5 p.m. on the day that we choose. So it will close on, we're selecting the 20th. It's going to close on the 19th at 5 p.m. And after you've selected your institution and entered the date, you're going to come down and hit post. If you have a private posting, instead of selecting your institution, you would choose private posting, and that will generate the link for you.
If you have something that you'd like to post internally within your institution, you can also post it here to the Career Center. It's important to make sure you remember you select the users. So if you want to post it just to your institution, you select institution. If you want it to be viewable by anyone, then you would do all users.
And after you click post at the bottom of the career site here, you will have to scroll back up, but you will see that it has been posted.
All right, any questions to this point? Just unmute yourself, hit *6 if you have a question to ask out loud, or type it in the chat box.
So if you don't have any questions, we'll move on to manage applicants. I'm going to go to recruit manage requisition. And go into posting here. We'll actually go into applicant. So I'm just going to move some applicants. Okay, so we can move them to move to requisition. If you're going to move to another requisition. You can change status. If you check the checkbox up here by applicant in this gray bar, it will select all of them if you want to move them in bulk. And of course, you can just choose them individually. You can change their status that way.
One thing I've found very useful in this section is to select the people that the hiring manager chooses to interview to be able to certify the interview pool. And if you check those people and go to Actions, and go to Resume CV Review, then you can flow back and forth between the applicants, and it will display the resume here, if there was really one, but since this is in pilot, there's not one in there. It's just a much more user-friendly way to read the resumes.
If you have any in your new submission column, then going in, of course, we're going to assume that you actually clicked on the applicant and reviewed their information. But if you want to advance them, you'll choose the green check mark. If they did not meet minimal qualifications, then you want to pass on them, you'll choose the red circle with the no sign there. And you can go to next. And it's first going to ask you to choose the status for those that you are advancing through. And then put them under review. And then it asks for you to disposition the one that you're passing on. And if they did not meet minimum qualifications, and just go and select that and then process.
One tip here is once you change them from new submission into under review, then they are viewable by anybody that has reviewer access or the hiring manager. So if they do not meet minimum qualifications and you change them to in review, then they will be able to see those applicants.
To search for an applicant, and you go to the Recruit tab and choose Search Candidate. And here you can enter their first and last name, their email address or phone number if they've given you that information, and then you would just click Search and it will display anyone by that first or last name or with that user email address or phone number. Or if they did not actually complete a profile, then it will just show no results if there are no results by that name. And they do have to have a profile for you to find them in Search Candidates. Are there any questions on managing applicants or searching for candidates? If not, I'll move on to the help feature. For help, you can go to this little wheel up here in the top corner, and you'll click Help. And if you're in a particular area, such as we were in Search Candidates, then your help is actually going to take you directly to the help section on the area of Cornerstone that you're in. So it took us to Search Candidates and gave us information about searching for candidates. This works regardless of what section you're in. So if you're in the job requisition, then it will take you to online help for creating a job requisition, managing requisition, wherever you're at, it will take you to that area in help.
This is so helpful. The help is helpful.
And then if you're just back here at your landing page, you can go to help here as well. It's not going to have the dynamic picture where it takes you to a particular section, but you can always go in here if you just have a question, you're wondering, hey, I wonder if we can do this, then you can go here and you'll just type in your subject here in the search. You can search by module, and you'll just click the arrow here by all modules, and you can choose recruiting or you know, in the future, when we get performance or learning implemented, then you can choose that section, whichever is applicable. Are there any questions on the help feature? So, the last thing I want to point out is our training materials, which we have posted out on our website. The link is here, tbr.edu, HR training materials HR officers. And if you scroll to the bottom of that page on our website, you see the TBR connector. We've got our Q&A and our how-to guide, which we update as we have new information and new modules. We update and add information to that. So you can always visit those. We do have some individual how-tos right here. If you don't want to go through the whole guide, you just need to know how to reset a password, and you can just pull that up. We do have a few videos as well here. We do also have a reviewer guide and reviewer training if you want to look at that to help you give your own institution some instruction as far as the reviewers or interviewers who are going in and reviewing the candidates for their searches. And then we have the webinar will be posted here as well. That may take a few days for us to get that posted, but it will be out here on the website as soon as possible. So you'll be able to go through and watch the session again if you need to.
All right, I know that's a lot of information in a short amount of time, so please, if you have questions, feel free to put them in the chat, unmute yourself, hit *6. If you have questions after this, Kimberly's your contact. You can email her or call her.
Any questions? I did put Kimberly's email address in the chat box in case you don't have that. All right, we do have the intermediate training on Thursday at 9 a.m. Central Time, so please join us then. If we don't have any other questions, then we will go ahead and say thank you. Oh. All right, we appreciate it.